Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our regular podcast about all things national hot rods. And we're very excited because at last, it looks like we're finally going to get back racing. It's been a long old haul to get here. But this weekend, it's the European Championship for National Hot Rods at Lochgelly, and we are really looking forward to that. So we're going to be having a bit of a chat about that this week. But before we get started on that, I'm going to introduce to you somebody who is joining our podcast team from here on, and that is Matt Kingston. Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to join on board. Obviously, many people know me through my father, who is mkpix.net. He's the official photographer for National Hot Rods.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So hopefully Matt will be, we don't put him off this week. He'll be a regular feature and a regular face on our podcast going forward. So thanks for joining us. Also joining us this week, we have Graham Brown. Hello, Graham. How are you?
Hi, Brian. Yeah, good to talk, mate. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Pretty fed up with lockdown, but I'm hardly going to be alone in that. And yes, anticipating getting back to some racing. Even if I can't personally be at Lochgelly this weekend, I shall certainly be there in spirit.
Brilliant. Well, it's good to have you here, and we're hoping to get your thoughts on this weekend and who we think might do quite well. And one of those people who we think might be doing quite well is our third guest this week. And that is the defending European champion. And not only is he the defending European champion, but he's already, would you believe it, sneaked up to Lochgelly and done a bit of practice. Not only has he done a bit of practice, but was it 3 out of 3, Jason?
Yeah, it was actually. First time I've ever won 3 out of 3 at a race meeting, believe it or not. Could have done with more cars there, but it was good nonetheless.
This is the good omen, isn't it?
Who knows? But I think you're all going to jinx me, to be honest. But it was a successful trip out, and I've done all the prep I can possibly do. So we'll wait and see what happens.
So it was chucking it down with rain when you were up there a couple of weeks ago, and I gather the forecast is pretty similar for this coming weekend. So are you doing your rain dance?
I did look at the weather quickly. It's an 80% chance at the moment. I didn't even take the body off the car to clean it this time, so I thought there might be more of a clean-up job after this weekend. So fingers crossed. Yeah.
Brilliant. So Graham, good to have you here. You're not going to be making it up to Lochgelly for this one, I don't suppose, are you?
No, I'm not. Actually, I was just listening to what Jason was saying about there weren't that many cars there. He's saying that, but Rob McDonald was there, Gordon Alexander was there, so he must have been going reasonably okay. And I think that was quite a shrewd move, actually, diving up there and getting in some practice. And a couple of people said to me, well, it was raining. So, yeah, so who says it's not going to rain at the European then? But, what happened was basically, the original date for the European was set to be earlier than this. I think it was back at the beginning of April from memory. And at the time we were still right in the heart of lockdown. So it didn't seem very likely that we were probably going to be allowed to go anyway. Plus it didn't look like they were going to get much of an entry. Southern Ireland, obviously they're barred from going. They're not allowed to, leave the borders of their country. So you just thought, well, even if this goes ahead, they might not have much of an entry. So I didn't rush to put an aeroplane seat or accommodation. And by the time it looked like they have actually got quite a passing fair entry, it was all getting a bit last minute. So I just thought, no, I think the best thing to do is skip it. But it's going to be quite irritating to be sat here on Saturday and knowing they're racing and we aren't there, But they've ended up with quite a good entry, really, considering under the circs. Like I say, it's no Southern Irish guys, and they got 21 cars, I think, last time I checked, including 5, no less than 5 former champions. So it's going to be quite a fair bit of racing, I would say, for the people who do make it there.
Yeah, I think 21 cars around Lochgelly is a decent amount. Have you ever been to Lochgelly, Matt?
I've not. I was hoping to actually go up to the European, but obviously with COVID, I was very much the same. I booked hotels, booked my travel to go up for the previous date, and with it being cancelled, I'd already have work commitments for this weekend, which sadly I can't get out of. But hopefully, I'll try to get up later in the year and watch one of the Scottish qualifying rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going either. The time I have been up to Lochgelly, I've absolutely loved it up there. It's such a good circuit. And I reckon 21 cars around a circuit of that size is plenty enough. One of the drivers who has never won the European Championship and must be considered a real contender, of course, is the main man, the home driver. And that's, of course, our world champion, Rob McDonald. So anybody want to comment on what his chances might be this weekend?
Well, they have to be pretty good. He did actually come quite close, to winning it. Let me see now, 7 years ago, unbelievably, 2014, when he was fighting for the lead with John Christie, and they were at it pretty much flag to flag. And McDonald sort of made a real kind of desperate do or die attempt a pass. He nearly got by once by sort of dint of going right out to the barriers and then making the big cutback, going into what is, let me see now, turn one at Lochgelly. And he tried to do it again coming towards the finish, and he just went out a bit too wide and touched the pit gate. I say touched, he hit it hard enough that the impact on the left rear wheel stopped the motor, apparently. Wow. And it also put him out of the race almost within sight of the flag. So he has actually come quite close before. And to be fair, normally he's very quick indeed on home ground, and certainly we haven't seen anything of him in the times that we were allowed to race last year, where he looks anything other than very, very quick indeed. So, I don't think Jason should be belittling his achievement in beating him last weekend, to be honest.
So was Rob there last weekend, Jason?
He was, yes. I think he's struggling in the rain a bit, but like Graham said, he's always quick there. That race, he was battling with Christie. He actually conked out, and I ended up coming second. So he done me a favour there, really. But no, he is quick wherever he goes, and at the moment he's got the gold and the silver. It'd be quite fitting for him to do the Euro as well, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we've got no John Christie coming over for this because the car isn't ready yet. So that's one less person to have to worry about. So, Jason, would you consider Rob to be kind of the main man to beat this weekend, or in your head, who do you feel is the big contender?
Probably Robert, Chris Hurd, Gordon Alexander. Adam Hyland's obviously quick on his day. He struggled in the wet, but he did do some tuning throughout the night and got a little bit better. So you can never write those sort of people off. You've got to look at the entry and think there's probably 10 or 12 people that are capable of winning that race. Obviously, Shane Bland, who knows what his new car is going to be like?
I heard he was crap.
Well, yeah, I know he didn't want to get it dirty the other day testing. So is he going to load up if it rains this weekend? I wonder.
I hear he doesn't want to get mud on it, so I don't think he's even going anymore.
Yeah, Shane does like a bit of wet weather stuff though. So just depends how good this new car is. I mean, if it hits the ground running, I know he's been doing a bit of testing at Swaffham with it, and I'm guessing he's ironed out a few snags, and we know he's good enough to win this because he already has won it. So, he could definitely be a contender because Highlands is another previous champion. So all of these guys know their way around Lochgelly. And so, I think whoever wins it is going to know they've been in a race, put it that way.
But I mean, the field, it feels like it's definitely quality, not quantity.
Sure.
I mean, there's 6 championships amongst 5 drivers there, isn't there? With Carl Barrett, the only other one, he's won it twice. So we haven't mentioned him yet. Sorry, Matt.
Christie's won twice.
Back to back, didn't he?
Yeah, that's no mean feat. Sorry, Graham, you're saying about...
I just say Christie's won twice, but of course his plan to be there has fallen apart. He is going to be out fairly imminently, though, just not for this meeting, which was the original intention for being the debut of the Lotus.
Yeah. So we've not got Christie from Northern Ireland. We've mentioned Adam Hylands, and he seems to be a man who's on form at the moment. Where's he in the points? Second in the points charts. And we've also got the current points leader from Northern Ireland, Derek Martin. And he strikes me as a bit of a dark horse. Anyone care to share any thoughts on that?
I think he's very, very underrated. And the first time he really, really impressed me was at Lochgelly. Where he's one of these people you just sort of think, yeah, well, he's, you know, Keith Martin's nephew or something, so he's probably not bad and probably got a bit of advice coming his way, but, you know, I hadn't really seen anything to make me think he could be a serious contender until he showed up at Lochgelly when I was there, and I just thought, yeah, really, really good, very calm. Car looks very stable. And as you say, a bit of a dark horse because he's not leading the points over there by accident, is he?
No, absolutely not. Would you say that I've unbelievably, I've been in national hot rods all my life, but I've never actually visited any of the tracks in Northern Ireland. Would you say that Lochgelly reflects any of the Irish tracks in terms of dimensions, style, size? Graham or Jason, maybe you could answer that.
Jason would have more idea about Tullyroan, which I've never been to, but it's nothing like Acaderry for a start. Completely different to Acaderry. Yeah, so, you know, and the others, we think of traditional Northern Irish tracks, we ain't got them anymore. But I mean, Ballymena was nothing like Lochgelly anyway either. It's a bit short and a bit narrow. Like I say, I've heard that Tullyroan's difficult to pass on, but Jason would be able to give us a much better insight into that.
It is difficult to pass at Tullyroan, and it's a really, really fast track to be really committed out to the wall. And that's probably quite similar to Lochgelly, especially in the dry. You've got that one line, and it's difficult to get around the outside. Obviously, when it rains, you've got 2 or 3 lines you can take, but in the dry round Lochgelly, everyone wants that one line. It's a difficult track to overtake, much like Tullyroan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jason, just going back to your thoughts on this then, you've been working with the Ginetta for quite a long time. I think it's fair to say that, he's disappeared off the screen. Are you still there, Jason? Oh, he's back. There we go. Sorry, yes.
Sorry.
A dodgy Wi-Fi up there. Yeah, you've been working with the Ginetta for a while. I don't think I'm being rude in saying that you probably haven't taken to the Tigra as well as you did to your old Mercedes, the old SLK, which I think you absolutely loved that old SLK, didn't you? And then you went to the Tigra. Do you feel like the Ginetta is the next step that is kind of propelling you up the ladder a bit?
I don't really know. I had lots of results. Obviously, the Merc I loved, and it was different, and I had lots of fast laps. But a fast lap's 1 lap. You need a car that you can put a whole race together with.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the time, everyone seems to be binning off the SLKs and going back to the Tigra. Maybe I was a bit too hasty in making that jump. I had various results in the Tigras, mainly seconds before anyone says it. I mean, the Ginetta really, the reason we went to the Ginetta is to get away from the normal Tigra shape that everyone seemed to have. And it's kind of gone really well for me. When I had the Tigra, I had Malcolm Blackman helping me set it up. And I've done the Ginetta myself. I've used the shockers, and I've learned so much just playing myself, taking on board what Malcolm taught me. And it's kind of all come together. I've won quite a few finals in it now, all from red grade, which there's not many people, obviously your Hares and McDonald's would normally say they've qualified and they've done it from red grade, but really our finals kind of see yellow tops and blue tops racking up the points and winning finals. So it is coming together. Probably all at my end of time in nationals, but you never know.
That's all sounding very doom and gloom. Come to the end of your time in nationals. I mean, my thoughts are just the reason for asking that really is that we've got new cars that are going to be at Lochgelly. Shane's bringing the Fiesta. We've got Ross McWilliam, who's also got the Fiesta, which is kind of autocross, but he's built that up himself as well. Terry Hunn, another Fiesta. I think we can still class that as a new one. And I'm guessing does it take quite a long time to get a car dialed in? It's not a case of just turning up and it being mega quick the majority of the time.
I think it is difficult. Everything's all tight with a new car. It depends what prep you've done on it beforehand. I mean, Shane's done quite a lot of laps in his Fiesta. So I don't think he's going to be any slouch, and he must know by now how it's going to feel and react. Ross McWilliam actually in the wet at Lochgelly, he gives me quite a race, and obviously
Really?
he's a home driver. If the grid falls right for him, he could be another dark horse. You could never write him off. He did show some really good pace. But reference a new car, I don't know. It's just, you never know till you get out there and race it.
Yeah. I think
Ross
Sorry,
McWilliam has actually won some races in that car at Crimmen already.
Yeah, I've noticed. I was looking at the points chart, and James Mooney in the Scottish points chart, who's been leading the way, and Ross McWilliam is closing in on him. So, do you know anything about Ross at his form, Graham? I mean, have you got any kind of background on him, or is he as new to you as he is to us?
No, I have seen him race before, but I mean, I don't wish to be rude about belittling people's efforts with different things, but he wasn't in the best equipment previously.
Yeah.
And I would say that the Autocross Fiesta is a big jump forward in terms of equipment for him. And it looks like it's working for him right from the get-go. Yeah, absolutely.
Big encouragement to the people that are building Fiestas then. Gordon Alexander is another name, another Scottish name. That has been on the radar, and I have to say I was kind of vaguely aware of him in 2 litres and the like, and he suddenly appeared in National Hot Rods. I would say probably taken us by surprise a little bit. Would you say?
Well, I always rated him as a driver anyway, but to be fair, yeah, he has been a lot quicker, a lot sooner than I thought he would be, and I think he's something like 4th in our points at the minute. Although we've had a relatively short season, but just because of the pandemic and all the rest of it, I did actually say on Speedwith TV the other night about, despite the fact that we haven't had that many rounds, I still think that by the end of it, the cream will have risen to the top just like it usually does. And if you look at the top 3 in the points, that's certainly true. But hey, look who's right sitting there behind them, So yeah, nice. I think he's definitely going to be a big force to be reckoned with. He hasn't looked anything but seriously quick every time we've seen him, to be fair.
And of course, he will be as familiar, if not more familiar, with this track than anybody else who's there, apart from Rob McDonald, I'm guessing.
I would say probably more familiar than most of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Jason in recent weeks.
Yes. It's sneaky move of the year, that one is, Jason, and we're never going to forgive you for that, are we? Dark horses. We've got somebody who's heading up there for the very first time in the shape of Perry Cook. Anyone want to give us some thoughts on Perry Cook?
I personally think Perry's a very fast young driver. I spent a lot of time talking to Perry and his father now, and for a young lad, he's definitely got his head screwed on, and for the future, he will be like the likes of Head, McDonald's, Pugh, Bland. He's going to be up there, and already at a young age, he's sitting in red, I believe, red grade, won some races, and he's gone about it the right way. He's not come out as a young gun and thinks he knows everything. He's learned very quickly, from his first Skegness meeting all the way up until recent events.
Interesting what you said about a kind of a calm head on his shoulders, because that's what strikes me about him, is he doesn't get het up. He seems so laid back and so chilled. And we've had this discussion numerous times on this podcast about people getting so keyed up and trying so hard that actually they almost hijack themselves in a championship. And Perry feels to me as though he's somebody who's kind of calm, collected and together. I mean, maybe on the inside he's not, but the image he gives is somebody who's just got a very solid head on his shoulders, and could be someone who just holds it all together while everybody's losing their heads, really.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, he's got 2 good cars. They're built up very well. I believe one of them's the ex-Shane Murphy car from Ireland. So he's got good equipment, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win.
Yeah.
But through his, I think it was rookie rods he raced beforehand, or junior rods, he was very well in them as well. For him to come up and step up to the nationals, he's done it very well.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it racing door to door with Perry, Jason?
Like Matt said, he's very fast, and he has picked it up quite quick. I haven't had too many exchanges with him yet.
Yes.
But then we haven't raced for the last year. Poppy for the last year. But
Yeah.
no, he's done really well in a short space of time. He's been doing nationals, and I did actually notice him walking around at Lochgelly on Saturday. So it's not just me. He's got a rib.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. So he was up there. You say he was up there watching?
Yes, yeah. I think it was low key, maybe scouting it out. But I did notice him and his dad walking through the pit.
Wow,
Interesting.
very interesting. And that's a long way to go and not take the car, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Especially as they could have taken one of them and saved the other one. Yeah.
interesting. So Perry Cook, Graham, has he got the maturity to win a championship yet, do you think?
Matt's quite right what he was saying about Perry. I mean, if he was any more laid back, he'd be off the other side. But I mean, we are looking at a future world champion here, aren't we? Let's not beat about the bush. It's only going to be a matter of time. It might not be, this year or next, but it's going to happen. And he comes across as very laid back and very quiet and very placid, but I think actually he's very determined. There's quite a big element of Mel in him, even though there doesn't appear to be. So, he's definitely not going to be going out there to make up the numbers ever. So, I'm actually quite surprised, given that he's got two cars. They didn't just take one with him and do a queue, a shrewdy little test. But I mean, we don't have any rules about people not going and testing on tracks that we're going to use for big meetings in the near future, like a lot of formulas do. So hey, why not? But yeah, he is. He's definitely going to be one of the men to be going forwards from here, without any shadow of a doubt. But if you're looking for another dark horse at Lochgelly, somebody that I quite fancy to do well is Shane Murray, because I think he's a bit of an underachiever, because he's either absolutely wonderful or very, very kind of, ordinary, isn't he? If he's having one of those absolutely wonderful days, he could be right there in the mix, because he is very, very quick when he's on it. You know what I mean?
That's very interesting. And of course, we've already proven, or Jason's already proven, that the Ginetta can win round there.
Sure.
So, yeah. You get the feeling that Shane is somebody who is it wouldn't be on the proportions of Davy McCall's first world title win, but but something similar, where it's somebody that people have almost discounted, and then suddenly he's there or thereabouts. And,
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that could be the one. A local driver, top of the points there, James Mooney. I know absolutely nothing about James Mooney, and he's kind of popped up from somewhere, and he will know his way around Lochgelly. He's top of their points at the moment. Is he a contender? Was he there when you were racing a couple of weeks ago, Jason?
He was, yeah. I did have a quick chat with him. He's literally come straight from mini stock. He's done a couple of years in nationals. He was a bit worried about doing the Europeans. He wasn't quite so experienced as everyone else. Right. I told him he'd do it, because it's all going to add to the greater good in the end. But yeah, he's just finding his feet, really.
Yeah,
he's a really nice young lad.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about. Have you seen much of him, Graham, racing?
I'm absolutely not convinced I've ever seen him drive at all.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, have I missed something?
The first time I saw his number come up on a set of results somewhere, I thought it was somebody else completely.
You thought it was Mike Reardon, didn't you?
I thought it was Mike Reardon. Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was Reardon. So yeah, it's taken me a little while to work out that it's not. I wish people wouldn't do that. There's been a lot of number trading going on. There's been not a lot of number trading. We've got this Joey Palmer that's coming out down here, and as 196. Well, hang on, that's David York, as far as I'm concerned. And then we got Dan Guiadotti. I've got to apologise if that's not how you say his name, because I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it out loud. But he's running around in a Merc.
Yeah, don't show Jason. He'll try and nick it off him.
My first thought was, is it Eddie Wall?
Yeah, absolutely.
420, it's a Merc.
Yeah.
Same guy. Could be the same fella. But so that's all a bit confusing when people keep trading their numbers around. But yes, and really, no, getting back to your original question, I don't really know much about James James Mooney at all. So be interesting to see how he gets on. You know, what did you think of him in terms of pace, Jason?
He wasn't quite on it, to be honest. But obviously that was wet conditions. We don't know what he's like in the dry. He's got a Tigra, so it should be good. So yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and he's got that local knowledge.
Sure.
It's, can he handle the pressure of a big event, a big championship? It'll probably be as many cars as he's raced against up until now, I guess, 21 cars. And I'm assuming that they're probably going to put all the cars out for whatever the qualifying is. I know what the format is. I'm guessing it'll be a forward and reverse grid qualifiers. Do you know anything about what the format is, Jason?
No, but last time I think we only had 2 heats because there wasn't many cars. So yeah, it's just going to be 2 heats in the final reverse grid.
Okay, we've talked about some of the dark horses, some of the clear favourites. Well, there's one who always pops up in conversation. That's the guy who won it in 2013, Chris Head. Thoughts on Chris Head, anybody?
Well, he was the first winner at Lochgelly after we'd moved away from Tipperary as the regular staging venue for this event. So you can never discount Chris Head. And even the one chink in his armour that everybody used to rely on, he's no good in the wet. And I mean, Chris was always busy telling us he wasn't any good in the wet. That's all turned out to be tosh now as well. So yeah, he's pretty quick around Lochgelly as well, you know. So you know he's going to be in there. I still think you could be looking at someone who's not won it before winning. Nobody's mentioned the words Billy Wood yet.
That was my next one. That was the next on my list.
And he's going with his nicely revamped car and all that, you know. So and he's not won it at all. So he'll be itching to get that one under his belt, I should think.
Yeah. And the car's looking beautiful as well. I saw some pictures of it today.
Yeah, beautiful, absolutely glorious. I like the colour scheme and the way it's been executed. So shiny and sweet.
And it's probably a very dialed-in Tigra as well, I should think. He's probably got that one just set up very nicely for Lochgelly, knowing Billy.
Well, Bill would probably give you an argument because I think he's actually been working. Well, in fact, no, he's been working all the hours God sends, and he hasn't had a lot of time to put into his own race car. So it may not be quite as well prepared as it actually looks. But that said, you know, he knows what he's doing. His dad certainly does, and they've got quite a good little team around them as well. So they're very good at making the best of what might not start out as being the best car there. You know, they're good at getting it sorted on the hoof, so to speak. I got a good flavour of how they work when we were in South Africa, where they were dealing with a car that was a complete unknown quantity to them, and it wasn't very long before Billy was like, had gone from being, you know, pretty average, and suddenly now he knows his way around the track, and oh, hang on, he's actually able to race anyone else who's out there. Gosh, look at that. You know, so that he is quite adaptable. That's I think that's what I'm trying to say. So even if they get there and it's not the best car there, I wouldn't rely on it not being the best car there by the time they finish practice.
No, absolutely.
He's always been very good at last minute setups, and you know, I've seen him before turn around cars so quickly, and you speak to him in the pits, and he's so laid back about it. He's like he'll laugh and joke about it almost, but you can guarantee by race one he's very much on the pace. And I've seen this with my older shop. You know, he's had issues in practice or for whatever reasons, and then got and won race one.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, another driver. Now, I mean, he's not somebody who's always been a main challenger for championships, and yet he has won the European twice. And the only driver, in fact, in the field to have won it twice, Carl Waller-Barrett. What is it about Lochgelly and the European that has favoured Carl Waller-Barrett? Is it just the way the cards have fallen, or is it the circuit? Well, anybody want to comment on the form of Carl Waller-Barrett?
He's not the only one that's won it twice, but he's the only one that's done it back to back. But yeah, obviously he just likes Lochgelly, and he's another one that I think is a bit underrated, actually. Carl Waller-Barrett. I think he's I think he's a better driver with a better car than a lot of people give him credit for. And frankly, it's just great to have him at a meeting so you can watch that strange wing working on his car anyway, apart from anything else. But yeah, you know, he knows what's required. He's done it twice before. And like I say, 2 wins on the bounce as well. And he knows Lochgelly and so on. So yeah, absolutely. There's no reason at all why he couldn't win it again, I wouldn't say.
Yeah. Jason, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think Graham's pretty much covered it. On his day, he's untouchable. But he seems to, one day he's struggling really bad, and then the next day he'll come out and you can't get near him. So it just depends which one of him is going to come to Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely. Another driver who many would rate as a very dark horse, Gavin Murray, who has yet to win a major, but we saw him that very wet Ipswich last year. And if it is wet, he does seem to like the wet weather, doesn't it? I know you were involved in that fight with Gavin as well at Ipswich, weren't you, Jason? So any thoughts on Gavin Murray?
Like you said, in the wet, he's really quick. And he's probably the hardest driver I've ever raced against.
Really?
We're like magnets for some reason. We're always coming together. But no, if it's wet, on the Sunday the European I won, it was me and him contending for a race win. So he knows his way around, and he will be good.
Yeah. I just get the feeling that he is going to pick up a major at some time, and it's going to come when we're all least expecting it.
He's well overdue for it.
Yeah. And we know the car's good.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need him to be dialed in as well, and to avoid being a magnet with Jason, and we'll have maybe a title in the offing. Right, unbelievably, we've been chatting for ages. There's quite a few we haven't mentioned, so just very quickly, drivers we haven't mentioned. We've got Terry Hunn, Lance Bowen we haven't mentioned, Carl Sloan. Who else haven't we mentioned? Phil McCloy, John Sibbald, Davey McKay. Anybody want to add anything? I mean, anybody in that bunch, particularly around Lochgelly, is a contender, one way or another.
Carl
Sloan, yeah.
He was battling with me for 10 laps of the European when I won.
Really?
More than capable of doing well in winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one that hasn't shown us everything he's got up his sleeve yet, that's for sure. And had a bit of a setback in that altercation with Billy at Hennesford a while back, but I think we've still got to see the best out of Carl Sloan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's got some more to show us yet, and he might not be the only one. And have you seen that Lance Bowen's? You've seen his car? Seen? I was going to say you've seen Lance Bowen's car, but I'm not sure. Is it that one? Saw the small
yellow and white.
The yellow and pale blue one.
Yeah, saw that today. There's just pictures on various feeds today, aren't there?
Looks absolutely superb.
It's the business.
And that really does look nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the only reason I'm questioning it is because I've got an entry list in front of me that's got him down here with a wrong number. That was what threw me momentarily.
I've got him down as 22.
Correct. Right? The entry list has got him down as 69.
Yeah, definitely not 69.
Yeah, that's what made me look at it twice and thought, hold on, what's going on here? But yeah, absolutely beautiful job they've done on preparing that. It's very, very different colour scheme, and the type of signage that's been applied to it. I think it really that's going to make that car stand out. Yeah.
Very
Brilliant.
much reminds me of an old Simon and Bentley car.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
The yellow.
They are sort of on the same firm, aren't they? If you want to look at it that way. So perhaps that's not that much of a surprise, Matt. To be fair, yeah, you're right.
So, Jason, you're only racing the Saturday in Lochgelly, aren't you? So, why are you only doing the Saturday?
Finley is racing his IndyCar at Aldershot on Sunday, and I said with everything that went on with IndyCar last year, he missed out on both points championships. So this year, Finley gets to go wherever Finley wants to go.
It
So
couldn't
we're
have been
coming back
further
from-
away, really, could it?
No, well, the reason I went to Lochgelly last week or whenever it was is because Finley raced as well, by the way.
Really?
He actually won both heats and was contending for the lead in the final and come across a back marker on the last lap. So we nearly done the sweep and done 6 out of 6 between us. But
Wow. That's
he's,
going to be a record.
yeah, I mean, he's so much more talented than I am, and that's why I'm putting in all the miles. I'd drive 2,000 miles to watch him race, quite honestly, because he's really getting to grips with it now.
Brilliant. That's amazing. So you're going to be pretty bleary-eyed on Sunday morning, rocking up at Aldershot, having driven through the night. And if you do successfully defend this championship, I'm guessing it'll be strictly lemonade only, will it?
Yeah, well, luckily, Terry seems to do more of the driving than I do. And last year, when we could go racing, I think we done Lochgelly on a Saturday, Aldershot on a Sunday 3 times. So we're autopilot. We know what we're doing.
See, this is commitment.
Yeah.
True
Well,
commitment.
Was
next
there not
weekend-
a stage? Was there not a stage, Jason, where you were racing at one track and Kerry was taking Finley to other meetings off her own bat?
Yeah, I'd done a Hennifer and Finley went to Aldershot and won his first ever final, and I missed it.
Yeah.
No.
I knew there was a
bank
day where you were
holiday
both in action.
Yeah, bank holiday weekend where we've got the Yarmouth and Ipswich. Finley's got Aldershot and Stanlake in his mini. Aldershot on a Sunday in the Ninja, Stanlake in his mini on the Monday, and we're just trying to think of a way we can do all 4 meetings we've got to do. The original plan was for me to go with him, but I'm not sure what's going on with the drop round. So, but one way or the other, we might be doing 4 meetings in 2 days.
Wow. Commitment. How old is Finley?
He is 10.
So that'll be 2027. We should see him in a national hot rod then, I reckon.
We're already discussing purchasing a 2-litre hot rod chassis to build up slowly. And I reckon if he keeps growing by 14, we can get him on track practicing in a rear-wheel drive. But he's solely got his sights set on national hot rod.
Chip off the old block. That's amazing. We should look forward to seeing
generation.
Brilliant. So when are you setting off for Lochgelly then, Jason?
Either late Friday night or early Saturday morning. I'm not going to go to the practicing on Friday because I had enough the other day.
Yeah, nothing else to practice. Well, wishing you the best of luck in the defense of your title. I'm not going to ask you this question, but Graham and Matt, just kind of your tip. This is the nightmare one, really. The tip for the who is going to be there or thereabouts at the end of it. So if you were going down the betting shop with your 50p, Matt, who's your money on?
Jason.
This is, yeah.
Jason or Car Sloan.
Brilliant. Okay, well that's pretty good. Graham.
Well, it's not very original, but Jason, yeah, because I know his car's well sorted and he's just been there and tested on the track. I would have put Shane Bland a really, really close second, but I feel the new car will probably count against him, however much testing they've done, if I'm honest. I've still seen a lot more races lost in new cars than what I've seen won.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, Rob McDonald has got to be a clear favourite. Local boy, knows his way around Lochgelly. So,
to be fair, any of the former winners ain't going to be a surprise if they win it again, if I'm honest.
No, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out to have a chat about this. It's just it's just made me even more fed up that I'm not going to be there now.
Yeah.
But I shall be watching the results very closely, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing some real national hot rod racing in real life at Yarmouth next weekend and Ipswich on the Monday, and that'll be great just to get back and see national hot rods again. Have a good trip up, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us, Graham. Really appreciate you taking the time out to chat. And thank you, Matt. And thank you to everybody for watching us, listening to us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard or seen, tell your mates. And we'll see you very, very soon for another National Hot Rod podcast. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.